Okay, just to make myself perfectly clear, I am not in the complaining status of Black Clover yet, but I am going to say, okay already. Can we just win against this despair already? It is starting to get prolonging, and that is not a good sign. Hi for those who are watching the Angry Anime Fan, the Despair Viewer. Although the biggest, most concerning news right now is unfortunately Black Clover is gonna be on a break next week. And when a mangaka is who almost never goes on break because of health issues, then we know it's bad news, which is making this a bit frustrating because I just want this to end. Doesn't mean the chapter was bad. Yes, I didn't give it that much high of a rating, but that's because while awesomeness happened, nothing else really did happen. It's slowing down almost too much, and that is something I don't like. Other than that, I have nothing but praise for this arc. The Angry Anime Fan, the Despair Reviewer. So Lumiere asks Sekre who Asta is, and she just calls him an idiot born without any magic power that doesn't know his place. But is also someone who pushes himself further than anyone else in this country. An idiot who's the worst at giving up. Having merged with the anti-magic, Asta prolonged this, but he does say that he cannot keep up for long. As Yuno also, well, Yuno doesn't really say if he can keep this in long, but he does say to end it in an instance. As the Sioux swords get forward, Yuno uses his wind powers to send Asta forward immensely, where he stabs the demon with his anti-magic swords. Unfortunately, it somehow the demon managed to rechange his heart. As the demon has a villainous breakdown, it suddenly begins to go on a rant, calling everybody an inferior life form, magic-less, worthless worms, and all that stuff. I mean, again, we don't really know why the devil has done what he has been doing, but the elves seems to have met the devils before, so it can only be assumed that the devils are true pure evil, but we still haven't gotten a single clue on Asta's demon, mind you. You cannot keep having these prolonging fights and not giving us that about us, huh? Well, either way, the demons has his villainous breakdown, all by saying that you barely make ripples in the water, you had no chance to struggle with the spirit as my playthings. This seems to imply that the devil does this evil not only because he wants to be evil, but also because he sincerely doesn't see any hope in anything. He did call himself misery, despair, and everything else, so I guess in the end, this devil is an embodiment of everything negative. And that doesn't mean negative in a bad, as in a bad villain, but everything negative at in hindsight, meaning that for him to see people struggle this much is just pure and simple disgusting. Then suddenly the devil speaks more languages as he actually manages to form multiple mouths and then casts multiple spells. As he calls them, he will destroy everyone until no rodents are left. As Charla and Jamis sees this disease is no joke, and Patri is also struggling, Lich and Lumiere declares that to take care of everything for a short while, and it seems to imply that both Lich and Lumiere are actually gonna sacrifice themselves. Well, you have to be kidding if they are gonna sacrifice themselves. They are the hope of the new era. Although they do say that they're the ones that will lead mages to the kingdom Clover in the future. So I mean, it does seem to imply that they have put faith in Asta and Juno to lead people to a better tomorrow. Although, so what can we say? Lumiere is Asta and Juno is Lich. Is that how this would work in this situation? Them sacrificing themselves after everything that has happened. Well, I don't really know if I would like that. So, so either way, the devil just keeps on ranting as he says he will end this. The two of them still are raring with very strength. As Sekra sees them fighting, we finally find out exactly why Sekra has decided to follow Asta. And it turns out that it's not because he was chosen of the Grimoire, nor of the fact that he had a demon. It is simply because Asta just had no magic power and obtained the 5 Grimoire by sheer coincidence. once again implying just how cruel fate is to Asta. Again, Juno is said to be born lucky, and I think fate really loves him. Everything he has been doing has all been for leading him to a thing. I mean, he works hard to get what he wants, but in the end, he doesn't really need to work hard because fate is on his side. Everything is guiding him towards the best of fortune. And while Asta is having fortune, it's worth noting that unlike Juno, it seems like he's struggled a lot with it. And now even Sekre seems to imply that the five-leaf grimoire came to Asta by pure chance coincidence, and she only followed him because of that. So, but it also once again shows just how big the parallels is between Juno. As while Juno may be loved by fate and Asta may not, it is worth noting that unlike Juno, Astas make people open up more than they actually thought they would, and their original ambitions become something else. So he carries with him a normal body, but a great charisma, something that Juno do not have because he doesn't need to. People get impressed with him uh, still, but that's only because of his magic and what he does. Asta's personality, as well as what he does, and charms people. Because Sekre actually acknowledges that while she has always thought of Asta as an idiot, she has watched his battles and even though she didn't want to try to believe in him, she does proclaim that she does truly believe in Asta now. So even Sekre, who wasn't just an anti-bird following Asta for no other reason, sincerely believes in him now and plays says Asta to win. So the only question is if he will. Again, this fight is prolonging a little bit too long for my taste. And again, we won't have any Black Clover next week, which is very, very too bad. But there's something about the author being sick. So I guess in the end we will just have to wait. That's basically this chapter. Again, nothing really big happened, although it does seem to give some death flags to Lumiere and Liched after so very long. Well, that's a waste. The demon called for more mouths and cast multiple spells. He had his villainous breakdown. Sekre is believing in Asta. So what about Jami's lines about this and that? I guess he cannot do that yet. I would be pretty pissed off if Asta and Juno are now above the king. I mean, the king that is Jami in power, but it maybe truly is like that. Although the biggest question right now, I feel, is can Juno and Asta hold up that form for too long? Asta acknowledges he can't for very long, but Juno didn't say anything. Although he does say let's end this in an instant, possibly implying the same thing for him. So yeah, that's basically it. It did have some nice emotion though, and I does give it that. But I do wish this fight could just go on so Hope can win already. But you give me your thoughts if you have any.